Browsing through the net, I found that somebody has written a book on Merkali in the Magadhan language. So I just searched and found that there is a book on Merkali written by someone called A.K. Pankaj. And I happened to have a teleconference with him and gained a lot of knowledge about Merkali and what he thinks about Merkali. He says that he is from southern Bihar, especially of the tribal people, and doing a lot of research on tribal people. And he is trying to reconstruct the character Merkali. We all know that from the work of Professor K.Nedunchezhiyan, and it is well established that Merkali is a Tamilian, and Merkali was born near Trichy, and he is from the Kshatriya clan, or he is from the um, king's clan. And he went to the Magadhan capital during the time of Mahavira and Buddha. And we also know that Merkali is older man than Mahavira and Buddha. So talking to Mr. Pankaj, he said, apart from Mahavira and Buddha, it was those days people were following Merkali Gosala. He said he was the man for the Adivasis. He says he was the man who stood for the tribal people's welfare. And he's trying to reconstruct. He said these two sects, which was established in the Magadha, were not for the people. Especially Buddhist was in the mid path. They were for the kings, whereas people were suffering. He says in those days they were a feudatory system, and before the Ashokan Empire, the kings were having heavy taxation, and the moral values were degrading. People were everywhere involved in loot and arson, and there were a lot of climatic changes, out of which there was a lot of crop failures and famines. It was very much affecting the Adivasis, and people were mining the area of Adivasis for iron ore. So it was this time when the whole of India was affected, and a lot of philosophers were coming out. They were not only called as philosophers, they are also like prophets who came with new knowledge, who were the reformers of both social and political climate at that time. And not only Merkel, there were 12 to 15 of them who has come out with various solution for the present days, that those days problems. And Pankaj says that tribal people's philosophy and Merkali's philosophy go hand in hand. He says for Adivasis, it is their philosophy is called collectivism. They together they do everything. They live for the community. Okay. Whenever we meet someone, we ask how are you, but in the he says in Adivasi community, they always ask how are we, and for them nature is the supreme power, and they don't want nature to be exploited, and they were independent. And Adivasis does not would like to serve others, and they will not change their culture, and they will have their own language and religious system. And when these Adivasis were affected, it was Merkali who stood for them. Two things are very clear from the talks with Mr. Pankaj. So all these days, historians have taught us that the knowledge as it has come from the north to the and came to the south. Through this, we come to know that Merkali was the greatest of all, and who has taken the knowledge from the south to the north, especially to the Magadhian capital. As we know from the book of Mr. Nedunchezhiyan, that is ASEEVAGAMum Ayyanar Varalarum, we know that Merkali is a great warrior. He is of the king's clan. Not only that, he is of man of many things. He knows cosmology. He knows the weather and climate. He knows the about plants, cure for medicine, and his philosophy also talks about fatalism, or in Tamil, wood kotpadu, and he also educates people on wealth creation. How do we know that? Because a lot of businessmen across India, especially the Magadhian businessmen, were followers of Ajivika sect. Even Ashoka's forefathers were following Ajivikas. Ashoka had a soft corner for Asivagam. He donated two caves. Not only that, his grandson Dasaratha also donated caves in the Nagarjuna hills for the Ajivikas. In fact, one of Ashoka's mother is an Ajivika sect follower. So, with that note, Pankaj said that Adivasis doesn't consider lion or tiger as the greatest animal. He says the lion usually doesn't hunt. It is the female lion which hunt, but the lion takes the share. Okay, it is, in other words, it's like the king also has the image of the lion as a symbol, but it is talked about Asivagan symbols as elephant and dogs. Yes, today in INR temples we find these two symbols, elephant and dogs. Why elephant? He talks about elephant represents the maternal, the mother side. The elephants grow in groups, especially the grandmothers, the mothers, and the daughters. They always stay together. Elephant is an intelligent animal. Elephant is the creator of the forest. It consumes a lot of vegetation and disperses the seed all over the forest, whereas the lion destroys the forest. The elephant creates the forest. An elephant has a intelligent and has got a tremendous memory, and dog is also very useful to man. These two animals are most useful to man. It protects the nature. Elephant protects the nature. So he says that today, for example, corona is there. Why corona is there and man is not able to do anything? It is the nature's call. So he says Merkel's philosophy go with the Adivasis philosophy, and he has reconstructed Merkali in his own view, how his philosophy has supported the people in wealth creation as well as in spirituality among people. So we come to know Merkali's teaching has got effect in the books of Panchatantra. We find fate in all the stories. It ends with fate, and it must have been Asivika's work, Panchatantra. And combining Adivasi and Panchatantra, it also um, correlates, goes with that. And we also know that where the our own Ayyappan temple in Kerala, it is in the midst of a tribal area. So there is a connection between Merkali and the forest area, the tribal area. Most of his temples are situated outside in the dense forest or inside a forest or near the lakes. So, which always proves that he was close to nature. So, nature and Niyati and this theory goes hand in hand. So, with that note, it was an interesting chat with Pankaj to know his views, and he was surprised to know that he was from the Tamil land. And we also have to, historians have to reconstruct that the whole of knowledge, the vast amount of knowledge has gone from the south to the north. Thank you.